Red Deer Public Schools acknowledges Treaty 6 territory to the north of the Red Deer River. Treaty 6 territory is the ancestral and traditional territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux.
We also acknowledge Treaty 7 territory to the south of the Red Deer River. Treaty 7 territory is the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Kainai, Piikani, Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nations and Stoney Nakoda First Nation.
We acknowledge the land that Red Deer is now on. It is also traditional territory of the Métis, and we are a part of Region 3 with Métis Nation of Alberta.
We acknowledge and give thanks to all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. We are grateful for elders and traditional knowledge keepers who are still with us today and those who have gone before.
Recognizing and acknowledging the traditional land is a part of reconciliation and a show of gratitude to those whose territory we reside on.
National Day for Truth and Reconciliation coincides with Orange Shirt Day. This is a day to recognize and honor the missing children, the families who never saw their children return, and the survivors of the Indian residential school institutions.
Way high, way high, way high, way ho. Way high, way high, way high, way ho. Way high, way ho. Way high, way ho. Way high, way ho. Way ho, way high, way high, way ho. Way ho. Babang the day on way mat say when. Way high, way ho, way ho, way high, way high, way ho, way ho, way high, way high, way high, way ho, way high, way high, way high, way ho, way high, way ho, way high, way ho, way high, way ho, way ho, way high, way high, way ho, way ho. Babang the neon, way mat say when. Way high, way ho, way ho, way high, way high, way ho, way ho. Way high, way high, way high, way ho. Way high, way high, way high, way ho. Way high, way ho. Way high, way ho. Way high, way ho. Way ho, way high, way high, way ho. Way ho.
We've had the privilege of talking to various knowledge keepers and elders that have taken us along a journey that help us to bring to the forefront truth and reconciliation. And in that spirit, the creation of many resources we've been able to do. We've been able to come across many contacts of people that have helped us understand how to deliver this in the classroom. And in the curriculum and the programs of studies for all grade levels, there's many opportunities to do that. And so we have been able to develop various activities coming into schools as well and do many different presentations that help teach about truth and reconciliation, thinking about things that have to do obviously with Orange Shirt Day or things that have to do with residential schools, activities that schools can engage in that help promote reconciliation as well, to show that Red Deer Public is on that journey of reconciliation.
Well, we're thrilled with the project at Don Campbell Elementary. We had a beautiful big wall that our art committee was hoping to find a nice art installation for. And what more meaningful art installation than to do an FNMI focus? And in a school where we're trying to educate and honor truth and reconciliation, Kokum Elder Maggie was a very key part of our school until her passing, and this is her featured working with kids and in front of a replica of the teepee that is out in our FNMI garden. And I just feel very happy that every time we walk by this, we can see and remember that we must never forget the teachings of our FNMI community and the importance of building those bridges and educating. Students were very involved in this project. They were involved with the handprints, and their fingerprints were on the buffalo. They were also involved when Ryan came back and talked about the project and what he was aiming for with each panel, as well as he did a smudge with all of us and talked about the importance of these traditions and what we need to do and think about moving forward. It is a legacy project, and it will be here for many, many years to come. It will help to educate, and as we move forward in one big Canadian community, I think it is a step forward and in education and in truth and reconciliation.
Today, I have the honor of sharing the story of our painted replica of stained glass in our Learning Commons. The original stained glass was created by Christy Belcourt and hangs in the center block of the Parliament buildings in Ottawa. The stained glass commemorates the apology made by the Prime Minister in 2008 to the First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people who were forced to attend residential schools. In 2016, leadership students from a Caloria Park school, along with staff members, began painting this replica. When this artwork was created, students learned about the impact of residential schools and how they deprive children of nurturing and loving homes. This learning continues every year. This artwork is showcased in our Learning Commons, along with a collection of First Nation and Métis and Inuit books. The stained glass serves as a visible reminder of truth and healing. We continue to build our collection of books so students and teachers can learn about the culture, language, and traditions of the First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. The Oriole Park replica of the stained glass window allows our students, staff, and families to remember the past and look ahead in the future.
The traditional plant garden at West Park Middle School is one of several gardens we have throughout the district. This garden was part of the larger design of the whole school. Before it was being built, we consulted with community elders to ask about what they wanted at the school, and this was one of their ideas. So a couple of the community elders worked with the principal at the time in designing what this garden would look like, and it is set up in 4 quadrants to represent the medicine wheel. They are aligned with the 4 directions of east, south, west, and north. And each of the plants in each of the quadrants are aligned with the teachings of the elders regarding the medicine circle. So we grow sage and sweetgrass, tobacco, and cedar within these gardens. The Indigenous Studies students at West Park Middle School look after the gardens. They plant seeds in the early spring. They harvest the plants in late summer or early fall, and often share plants with other schools that are wanting to grow the gardens. The teachings the students get from the gardens are amazing. They learn about caring for Mother Earth, looking after the plants, and they also learn about what the plants can do for us, for the people. The tobacco and sage and sweetgrass is used to give to community elders, for guests that come into the school when they're asking for elders to share their teachings and that with the students. Several other schools in the district also grow these gardens. We worked with Elder Corky, who helped us to get started with the first Indigenous garden at Eastview Middle School. And from there it has just grown, and it is just an excellent connection to Indigenous cultures and to the curriculum, and students use the medicines to build relationships with community members, community elders, and Indigenous organizations.
I joined Hunting Hills 3 years ago as an Aboriginal Studies teacher, and one of the things that was a goal of mine was to take the course and make it more hands-on and meaningful for the students. And so I really thought about how I was going to do this, and this brought around the teepee. So it was a gift to me from my husband, which was truly incredible, and I utilize it in the classroom as much as I can. I feel that I'm learning alongside my students as well. So I often bring in a lot of knowledge keepers or elders to come into the teepee, and we share that space and we grow together. And the students absolutely love it because it's very hands-on. It takes us outside. It's been a really incredible and impactful part of the course. We set up everything of the teepee. I usually bring in either the Red Deer Friendship Native Society. Next year I'm bringing in Claire Butterfly to help me set up with a knowledge keeper. So we do the traditional teachings that are not my own. So I often bring in those knowledge keepers and elders to help me with the process. And the students help every step of the way. And so when they're doing this, it becomes a part of them, and they receive the blessings as well, because when you're raising the teepee, you have the blessings of your ancestors as well, part of those teachings. So it's just a really incredible experience that I know will stay with the students for forever. And it's an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. And so it's just a really beautiful way of coming together and learning together. You have to work as a team to be able to raise the teepee. It makes me feel a really deep sense of pride. It's nothing that I was able to experience as an Aboriginal student myself. And so to have these teachings available to our students, it just really fills me with a great sense of gratitude and pride. And it's just really exciting to be a part of something like that.
Each year we have our Lindsay Thurber Hall of Fame, and we take nominations for the Hall of Fame. And the criteria for the Hall of Fame is the people that get nominated or get inducted have to be graduates of Lindsay Thurber who have after graduation have done some great work in their field. And so Jesse, after he graduated from here, he's really forged a great career in the art community in a bunch of different ways. Being a Cree artist, Jesse's also had a big focus on Indigenous artwork throughout his career. Last year he was selected as the Hall of Fame inductee. So with him coming to the school, I thought if he's going to be here for the induction ceremony anyway, it would be really great if he could work with our students and build a new mural for our school. So we talked to him about some ideas about what he could do, and he came up with a vision for his mural. And so he came actually the week before the Hall of Fame induction. He came a week early, and he worked with a group of our students to make this beautiful mural. We brought in our art teachers, so Sheena McNiff-Wolf and Adair Barker, and they kind of worked with him on a vision of what it could be all about. And Jesse had a really good idea of art that he wanted to do. For him, being at Lindsay Thurber, one of the things that he thinks of is the river being right by us. So he wanted to incorporate the river into his artwork, and then he also wanted to tell a bit of an Indigenous story. So when Red Deer was named, it was because the Indigenous people were describing actually an elk, and some of the settlers thought they were talking about a red deer, which is native to Scotland. Of course, we know now it was actually the elk behind us. So that's why he wanted to have the river with the elk. So that was kind of what his vision was. And then when he came to the school, he was here for a week. And so we had a group of students that worked with him throughout the week, and they kind of worked on how to do the art using spray paint, how they build the mural, and then him and the students worked together on it for about 5 school days. And then they had it done just in time for the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Jesse had given us the opportunity to work on the piece with him and kind of teach us some of the techniques that he had used. It was really cool to be a part of the piece and actually know that we created the piece too, helped him with it. It was really to learn from Jesse and see what he does and how he has made that into a career and get to help him make it. Those were the most important part.
In our school, it's such an important part of who we are, that Indigenous culture, that respect for the history and the traditions. And we're just so lucky to be working and learning on the land that we are. And we wanted to find a way to honor that and also to make that history and that culture and that tradition come alive for our students. So to have an Indigenous artist work on this mural that will really kind of stand the test of time at our school.
Today is a heavy day for a lot of people, and there has been a lot of harms and a lot of hurts towards Indigenous peoples. And I think it's really, really valuable and important that our school district here is acknowledging that and moving forward in a good way through partnership and acknowledging the truth, part of Truth and Reconciliation, and teaching children from K to grade 12 about Canada's history and Turtle Island's past and what has happened. And it shows why things are maybe the way they are now for certain people and struggles that have come from the echoes of residential schools. I believe reconciliation is for everyone, and it is work that everyone needs to do, and we need to do it together and come together as a community in kinship and love and kindness and use our humility to look at those hard truths and go forward in a good way by acknowledging that. And I think that's why it's so important that we do this work together. Although today is a very important day and reconciliation is acknowledged on this day, it's an action that needs to be continued throughout your lifetime. It's not just for today, it's for every day. It's for acknowledging possibly the wrongs in our system, for asking why, for actively standing up to something that you see or hear as being false or bias, and for maybe opening your mind a little more to understand and to ask yourself hard questions, but to also ask your community hard questions and use humility and try to make those connections with others and really understand where they're coming from. Reconciliation is a long road. It's going to take a lot, but it starts with building relationship.
When They Buried the Children by Abigail Echo Hawke. When they buried the children, what they didn't know, they were lovingly embraced by the land. Held and cradled in a mother's heart, the trees wept for them with the wind. They sang morning songs their mothers didn't know to sing, bending branches to touch the earth around them. The Creator cried for them, the tears falling like rain.
Mother Earth held them until they could be found. Now our voices sing the morning songs, with the trees, the wind, light, sacred fire, ensure they're never forgotten as we sing justice.
Hey,